All right, it's another day in the garage. Look, I got a microphone. I don't know if this is going to work or not. It's cheap, but I looked at some of my old videos and some of the sound wasn't that great. Some of the light wasn't that great. So I'm going to try to make those things better. But more important, so look at this. Got myself some new wheels. Pretty cool, huh? Cheap. Got them on Marketplace. Yeah, that just means I changed my mind yet again. I have never changed my mind so many times on a build than this one. Um, and it's not a good thing to change your mind when building a car. So the reason you don't change your mind during a build is it always costs you money. Always. Doesn't matter. So I try to just like, when I start a build, I have it all in my head, what it's going to look like, what it's going to be. Well, this one's been going like in three different directions for the whole build. I don't even know how many times I changed my mind either on engine, transmission, the wheel choice, how it was going to look, everything. And it is what it is. Didn't cost me a lot of money, but I'm a sucker for these 5-spoke torque thrust type wheels. These are actually called TTOs. These are torque thrust old style because the original torque thrust rims were like just all aluminum. So these type O's, they paint the center kind of like a silverish color, and the spokes are not as curved as the new style D's are. But I like them, and I got some center caps I could put on there, or maybe not. I don't know. We'll decide. But basically, this car has turned into, for the older guys out there who used to build models. You get the model kit, and it was like a 3-in-1. You could build it stock, you could build it like a hot rod street car, or you could build it full race, just depending on which little pieces you snapped out of the trees and glued in place, right? So this one's turned into that, where I have choices. So I'm not going to say it was the original idea, but I know the last videos I made, I said this was going to pretty much look dead stock. I was going to put steel, leave the rally wheels, but put hubcaps on them. So no real visual indications on the car that there was anything other than it's just an old junk stock car. Nobody would know any different. Then you have the level 2 model, which is kind of a little more hot street car, which now is what I'm leaning to. So now here's what I'm thinking. Put these on the front. I only have a pair of them because that's all that the guy had. Put black painted steel wheels on the back. So they're not slicks, but you get the idea. It looks like an older drag car with slicks on the back and a mag in the front. And to go along with that level 2 model build, we have the additional parts we can snap out of the tree. We have hood pins we can add. And I have a chrome fuel pressure gauge that can mount on the cowl outside the windshield. So that's pretty cool. I remember those growing up on the race cars had those. And that's pretty much it. Maybe change the steering wheel to, an old style chrome 3-spoke, kind of like what I put in the 51 Hudson, but with a black rim. Something like that. Just little add-ons like that. Maybe a floor shifter in the future. I don't know, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because I could change my mind again tomorrow. It just depends. I get excited and I'm like, hey, this could this. Yeah, you get it. If you're building something, you get it. It's not the smart thing to do. You should really make a plan and stick to the plan. And maybe on the next build, I will do that and I will stick to the plan because this one's moving along. I'm already knee deep into what the next build is going to be. So I'm going to have fun to it. And what I never tell anybody is that, and I think this might interest people, all these builds have a budget of $5,000. That's it. 5 grand's the build. Sometimes they go a little over because I'll splurge and buy something that I didn't really need. I mean, the Hudson was a $5,000 build, and it was under 5, but then I paid somebody to do the lettering because I just didn't have time. So you're going to get over the budget, but it was definitely worth it, and it's just part of the build. But this one as well is like a $5,000 build. Now I have to review the numbers. It would definitely make it if it wasn't for the turbo, but because this is my first turbo build, I bought things that probably are not going to get used, and we'll get into that, especially like on the fuel system, because there are ways I believe, to do things simpler. And again, when you're doing something the first time, the best thing to do is research. And that's what I did with this car as far as the turbo stuff. I just took in as much information as I could. And in the end, you have all this stuff in front of you and you have to sort through it all and figure out what really works the best. They all work, all these ideas work, but there are cheaper ways to do things. And everything I build is low buck. I try to build cars that you could build, that pretty much anybody could build and still have a cool car. You don't need to spend 20,000. You don't need to spend 10,000 to build something reliable and fun. And that's what I'm trying to do with this channel, but that's off on a tangent, which I usually do. So where we left off on the car, I tested the injectors. Those are ready to go back on the engine. They are on the engine. Now, can we get this thing started today? I don't know. Let's see where we end up. Oh, and before I get into this, let me know what you think as far as which direction I should go with this car. I am really curious what people think. I know the channel's not big and I don't have a million views, and I get all that. But the people who are watching this, I really appreciate it, and they must be building, you must be building, similar type hot rods or want to build similar type hot rods. So what do you think I should do with this thing? Should I make it look dead stock, or should I go with the, you know, it's not quite day 2, but I guess it is. You know, I don't know how many people back in the day actually built a 55 Buick into a hot rod, but I'll call it day 2. So what's your opinion? What do you think is the better way to go with this car? Dead stock, sleeper, nobody knows nothing, or day 2, little bit of flash, but not stupid, you know, just some things here, not quite J.C. Whitney catalog type stuff, but you get it. A few things here and there. So please let me know in the comments. I'm really interested in what you all are building and what you think I should go as far as direction on this. Okay, now we'll get back to it. All right, so I just realized that I had lost a section of video. I had no sound. So I'll backtrack, and I'm actually videoing this after the fact, but I'll insert it into the middle of the video. So before I started, I installed the eBay harness, finished that off. Everything went in fine. This is the modified 99 to 02 harness that I used in my other video that I showed you how to modify an LS1 into a Vortec harness design. So that worked out good. The injector adapters, EB1 to Multec, I just kind of tucked them up under the intake, and I don't even think I'm going to mess with them. I think they'll be just fine. Once the engine cover's on, you really won't see them. So no problem with that. The only issue I did have with it is, for some reason on this harness, my connector for the knock sensors, which is usually clipped up here, the wiring wasn't long enough to catch it. So I just unclipped it and just kind of tucked it underneath there. No big deal. Other than that, everything went as it was supposed to be. I extended the wiring on the other side for my O2 sensor, because that O2 sensor is now way up front on the header. And one other thing I noticed as well, when doing this is that, if you remember back in the 99 to 02 wiring harness video, I talked about case grounded O2 sensors versus reference grounded O2 sensors and how they were both an option on this system. But I think the easiest way to find it, until I'm proven wrong, is the color of the connector. What it looks like is, if you have the black connector, either the horizontal 4-pin or the square 4-pin, that's a case grounded oxygen sensor. If you have the white connector, that's a reference grounded oxygen sensor. And I actually have one hanging right here. There's an example. So like this O2 sensor, it's a black plastic. I would say that this is going to be a case grounded O2 sensor. So most of the early stuff I have has these. And I mean like 99 to maybe 2000, 2001, maybe just 2000. I'd have to double check by year. I know if you order O2 sensors for a 2000 Trans Am, this is what you're going to get, black connector. And the white ones are reference grounded. So this eBay harness has black connectors. I wired the harness for case grounded O2s. So I think I'm safe using these. And I'll know for sure once we're looking at the data logs and look at O2 sensor outputs. As long as they're switching, it's working. But I think that's a safe way to tell what your harness was designed to use. Black connectors, case ground. White connectors, reference ground. All right, so I got my O2 sensor installed. Not that it's really needed right now, because it's like I'm trying not to do too much because I need to make sure the engine's all good before I fully commit, I would say. I took the belt off the engine because I did not do my power steering lines yet, because I don't want to have to take them right back off if there's a problem with the engine. So this is just going to start just to make sure everything is okay, because I know I mentioned it before, but I couldn't get oil out of one side of the engine as far as the rockers go. And I've read online where that, sometimes they just don't pump up until you start the engine. So we'll start it, and I know I have good oil pressure, but, see if those rockers will pump up and see how bad it is and if I have to get longer push rods, because some valves I have no lash, which is correct, and some I have lash, which is not correct. So until everything's all pumped up and I can get an idea what's going on, I think we can start at least out here. Except for, I forgot, I got to put the blow-off valve on there, and I got to put a muffler or something on that. But I'll come back to the muffler and such later. So inside the car, I have the wiring that came in, and it's a mile of wire. I mean, I've got it tucked up now up under the dash, but you could pretty much put the PCM all the way to the back seat with the amount of wire they give you here. So I've got my PCM connectors. I got to obviously put that on. I'm not going to do anything with the bundle yet. And I got my ground wire I'm going to connect. My fuse box can just lay here. And this is my key on and cranking power into the fuse box for the ignition relay. I'm not going to worry about the fuel pump relay now, because we're going to run the external fuel pump to start the engine. All right, so I've got the ground wire connected up into the metal on the dash. Fuse box is just going to lay here. I'm not going to worry about fuel pump wiring right now because I'm going to run my external pump. When the time comes, we will wire that in. So the only wire I have to connect for this whole deal here is this one, which is key on and cranking power. And because this harness, I can't remember what it was. I think it was maybe an 87 Monte Carlo or something. I don't know. But I have an HEI wire here, which is hot on key and cranking. So I'm just gonna tie those together with a wire nut. No, that's not going to be the permanent connection. Do not use house wiring in your car. So now all that's left is to do some quick PCM programming. I need to turn off VATs. I don't think I need to do anything else just to make sure it'll start. This cam is mild. I'm not looking for it to idle right now because I don't have a muffler on it. So I just want to see if it pops. If it pops and it runs and I have oil pressure, I'll shut it down and then deal with something for an exhaust. All right, PCM is installed. I didn't even have to do anything with it because apparently I already turned VATs off on it because I have a label on it that says standalone. And this is operating system 156, which is a common one you can use Tuner Pro with and such. So you can do it for free, turn off VATs and whatever. But I think I'm going to eventually switch to 125. And that one, I think, allows flex fuel. I don't think the 156 you can do flex fuel. And I think I'm going to put a content sensor on this and see if we can run E85 on it. Okay, so with the PCM connected, I think I'm done in here. I snipped off all the ends on the bundle of wires just to make sure nothing's let's just say any loose power laying around. That's an SES wire for service engine, so I don't care if that's exposed. but I don't want to turn the key on and have any wires with power that might touch the floor or something. So I think that's it for in here. Now I think all that's left to do is connect the battery in the trunk and hook up the fuel system. All right, here we go. This is going to be interesting. See if this thing starts. I'll leave the camera out here because maybe this is where something will explode. I don't know. So I've got my fuel system here hooked up. As soon as I connect this, I now have fuel pressure in the system. Battery is connected in the trunk. I think everything is wired as it should be. Just want to see if it pops. Let's see what happens. This could be good. This could be really bad. I don't know. We're going to find out right now. Woo! Well, that was pretty cool. I like it. I guess it's a success. The problem is with no muffler on that thing, there's no way to tell if the lifter's pumped up or not because I can't hear any valve train noise at all with it like that. But I've got over 40 pounds of oil pressure with it idling. It's either misfiring or you can tell it has that little cam in it because it's a little lumpy. But that was a success. Thing is, I can't remember because I didn't write on the notes when that PCM when I programmed it. I don't know if I failed the math or not because obviously I have no math right now. And to put it into speed density, you got to fail the math. And I don't know if I did that or not. But regardless, it started. But the next things I'm going to have to do is put some kind of muffler on this so that I can actually hear the engine because could be bearings could be knocking. I have no idea. But at least it started. So that's pretty cool. Yeah. So next video, because I got to end this here because I've got to put Christmas ornaments on, and my wife will see this. I'm going to put the Christmas Huskies on the lawn. Okay. Are you happy now? I will go do it. So on the next video, cobble up some kind of exhaust on this as quiet as possible so we can listen to this engine and see if it's knocking and banging or valve train noise and if I need new push rods or if I actually pumped up that side. Maybe we'll pull the valve covers and verify. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you very much for watching. And remember, you guys out there who are building this kind of stuff, let me know what you're building and which direction you think I should go with this. I'm leaning more now toward the day 2 type stuff and leave the torque thrusts on the front, Steelies on the back, some hood pins, chrome gauges, you know. Cool stuff, right? All right. Anyway, see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Later.